The earth moves first as a whisper, a tremor beneath the red clay tiles of a village clinging to the slopes of West Java's volcanic highlands. Then it roars. In the span of 13 seconds, the ground convulses with a violence that fractures stone, splits bamboo, and sends the forest canopy into a frenzy of snapping branches and panicked wings. Birds scatter in every direction, their calls swallowed by the deeper thunder of collapsing structures and the ancient groaning of trees uprooted from soil that has held them for decades. When the shaking stops, silence descends, not the peaceful quiet of dawn, but the hollow, ringing absence left after catastrophe has torn through a landscape and left it struggling to remember what it was. High in the remnants of a strangler fig, barely visible through a tangle of broken limbs and torn leaves, a small shape stirs. The Javan hawk eagle chick is no more than 3 weeks old, its body covered in sparse white down that does little to shield it from the sudden exposure to open sky. The nest that cradled it, a massive platform of sticks and moss built by its parents over weeks of meticulous labor, has been sheared apart, half of it now dangling uselessly from a splintered branch. The chick's world, once a secure bowl of woven vegetation 40 meters above the forest floor, has become a precarious ledge. Its legs, still too weak to support its weight for more than a few seconds, tremble as it shifts, instinctively trying to press itself lower to become smaller. One wing hangs at an awkward angle. Blood, dark and sticky, mats the down along its shoulder where a falling branch struck during the quake. The chick opens its beak in a silent gape, a gesture meant to summon the parent that should be tearing small strips of flesh and placing them gently into its throat. But the sky above remains empty. Below, in what remains of the village, an elderly woman named Ibu Sari emerges from the doorway of her wooden house. The structure leans now, its foundation shifted, one corner sagging into the earth. She is 73 years old, her hands gnarled from decades of farming the terraced slopes, her back bent from years of carrying loads of rice and cassava down steep mountain paths. Her husband died 8 years ago. Her children live in the city. She has chosen to stay here in the house where she was born, surrounded by the forest that has fed and sheltered her family for generations. She moves slowly through her yard, assessing damage with the practiced eye of someone who has lived through earthquakes before, though none quite this violent. Roof tiles lie shattered across the ground. Her chicken coop has collapsed, and she can hear the distressed clucking of hens trapped beneath bamboo poles. She will need to free them. But first, she pauses, listening. There is something else, a sound barely audible beneath the settling creaks of the wounded forest. She walks toward the tree line, her bare feet careful on ground littered with debris. The sound comes again, faint and high-pitched, almost like the mewling of a kitten. She follows it, pushing aside ferns crushed beneath fallen branches, until she stands at the base of the strangler fig. Looking up, she sees the nest, or what is left of it, and then, with eyes sharpened by a lifetime of spotting movement in dense foliage, she sees the chick. It is impossibly small from this distance, a pale smudge against the dark bark. She knows immediately what it is. The Javan hawk eagle is her island's symbol, the bird that appears on money and official seals, the creature that conservation workers come from the capital to study. She has seen the adults hunting the forest edge, their broad wings cutting silent arcs through the morning mist. She has never seen a chick. She knows, with the certainty that comes from understanding the rhythms of the wild, that this bird will not survive the night without help. The parent has not returned. Perhaps it fled during the quake and cannot find its way back. Perhaps it was injured. Perhaps it is dead, crushed beneath the same chaos that destroyed the nest. Ibu Sari is old. Her knees ache. Climbing is a young person's task. But she looks at the chick and she looks at her house, still standing despite the damage, and she makes a decision that has nothing to do with logic and everything to do with the stubborn instinct to preserve life when death has just swept through with such casual cruelty. She circles the tree searching for handholds. The strangler fig is not like the smooth-barked eucalyptus or the impossibly tall mahogany. Its trunk is a lattice of interwoven roots that have slowly choked the original host tree to death and replaced it. These roots create natural grips, and though the climb is steep and her muscles protest, she begins to ascend. Her fingers find crevices, Her toes press into gaps. She does not look down. She focuses on the next hold, the next breath, the slow and deliberate progress upward. Sweat soaks through her thin cotton shirt. Her heart pounds in her chest, and she wonders if it will give out before she reaches the nest, but she does not stop. When she finally pulls herself level with the broken platform, she is breathing hard, her vision spotted with exertion. The chick is less than a meter away, watching her with dark, unblinking eyes. It does not flee, it cannot with that injured wing and legs, not yet strong enough for sustained movement. She reaches out slowly, speaking in a low, steady murmur, words in Javanese that the bird does not understand, but that carry the tone of calm and intention. Her hand closes gently around the chick's body, feeling the rapid flutter of its heart, the fragile bones beneath the down. She tucks it against her chest with one arm and begins the descent. Going down is harder than climbing up. Every foothold must be tested blind, her legs shaking with fatigue. Twice, her grip slips and she catches herself with a gasp, the chick pressing tighter into her ribs. When her feet finally touch solid ground, she allows herself one moment to simply stand, forehead resting against the rough bark, before she turns and carries the bird toward her house. Inside, the main room is cluttered with fallen shelves and scattered possessions, but one corner remains intact, a low wooden platform where she sleeps covered with a woven mat. She clears a space and lays the chick down on a folded cloth. In daylight filtering through the cracked window, she can see the injury more clearly. The wing is not broken, she thinks, but badly bruised, the joint swollen. She has no veterinary knowledge, but she has spent a lifetime tending to injured chickens, goats with infected hooves, a dog once caught in a hunter's trap. She knows about cleaning wounds and keeping things immobile while they heal. From a shelf that somehow survived the quake, she retrieves a small clay jar. Inside is a paste made from turmeric root, pounded and mixed with honey, a remedy her grandmother taught her, used for cuts and inflammation. She applies it carefully to the chick's shoulder, her touch as light as she can manage, and the bird tolerates it, too weak or too shocked to protest. Then she tears strips from an old cotton sarong and fashions a gentle wrap, securing the wing close to the body so it cannot move and worsen the damage. The chick needs food. Ibu Sari knows this with the same certainty she knew it needed rescue. Young raptors eat frequently, and this one has likely not been fed since before the earthquake hours ago. She thinks about what the adults hunt. She has seen them carry small animals in their talons, rats, squirrels, lizards. She has none of these readily available, and she is too tired to hunt through the debris for rats, though they will surely emerge once night falls, drawn by the chaos. Instead, she goes to her collapsed chicken coop and carefully extracts one of the hens, then searches for eggs. She finds 3, miraculously unbroken. She cracks one into a small bowl, the yolk bright and viscous, and uses her fingers to scoop a tiny portion. The chick gapes instinctively when she brings her hand close to its beak, a reflex as old as its species. She places the morsel inside, and the bird swallows. She repeats this, patient and methodical, until the chick stops gaping and closes its eyes, sated for now. She knows this is not ideal. The bird should have fresh meat, bone and fur to develop properly, but it will sustain life, and that is what matters tonight. As dusk settles, aftershocks ripple through the mountains, small tremors that rattle the damaged house and send more tiles sliding from the roof. Each time Ibu Sari steadies herself and checks the chick, which has nestled into a corner of the cloth, its breathing steady and rhythmic. She does not sleep. Instead, she sits beside it, listening to the night sounds of a forest recovering from trauma. The usual chorus of frogs and insects is muted, replaced by the occasional crash of a weakened tree finally surrendering to gravity, the distant barking of wild dogs, emboldened by the scent of death and disruption. She has lived through enough to know that disasters bring out the opportunists, the scavengers and predators that sense vulnerability. She has seen feral dogs attack goats, too injured to flee, has watched monitor lizards raid henhouses in the confusion following storms. The chick, with its scent of blood and its helplessness, would be an easy target. She keeps a bamboo stick beside her, ready. Near midnight, her vigilance is tested. The sound comes first, a snuffling at the base of the door, followed by a low growl. Feral dogs, at least 2 of them, drawn perhaps by the smell of the chickens or perhaps by some deeper awareness of weakness. Ibu Sari rises, her joints protesting, and grips the bamboo stick. She does not open the door. Instead, she strikes it hard from the inside, creating a sharp crack that echoes into the night. She shouts, her voice hoarse but commanding, words that are less language and more raw assertion of presence. The snuffling stops. A moment of silence, then the sound of paws retreating, not fleeing entirely but withdrawing to a safer distance. She knows they will not give up easily, but for now, they are deterred. She returns to her seat beside the chick, adrenaline fading into exhaustion, but still she does not sleep. Dawn arrives slowly, the sun struggling through a haze of dust that still hangs in the air from collapsed structures and disturbed earth. Ibu Sari's eyes are gritty and red, but she moves with purpose. The chick is awake, gaping again, demanding food with the insistent hunger of young things that know only need. She has anticipated this. Before first light, she took her husband's old machete and went into the forest edge, searching. She found what she was looking for, a rat's nest in the hollow of a fallen log, abandoned but still containing the remains of the rodent's last meal. She dug further and caught one of the juveniles, quick despite her age. Now she kills it with a swift blow, then uses a knife to cut small pieces of flesh, stripping away the fur as best she can. This is what the chick needs, real meat, the kind its parents would provide. She feeds it slowly, piece by piece, and the bird's response is immediate and vigorous. Its strength is returning. Over the following days, a rhythm establishes itself. The village begins the slow work of recovery. Neighbors help neighbors clear rubble, shore up damaged walls, retrieve belongings from collapsed rooms. Ibu Sari participates as much as her body allows, but always she returns to check on the chick. She moves it from the house to a makeshift enclosure in her yard, a woven bamboo cage large enough for the bird to stretch, but secure enough to keep it safe. She continues to hunt for food, setting simple traps for rats and lizards, and when those fail, she buys small fish from a neighbor who still has access to a stream down the mountain. The chick grows rapidly. By the end of the first week, its white down is beginning to give way to juvenile feathers, dark and barred. The injured wing heals, the swelling receding, and soon the bird is able to fold it properly against its body. Ibu Sari removes the makeshift bandage carefully, checking for signs of infection. There are none. The turmeric and honey have done their work, or perhaps simply keeping the wing immobilized was enough. She is not sure which, and it does not matter. As the chick grows stronger, its behavior changes. The passive, gaping infant becomes a more alert and active juvenile. It watches her with keen eyes when she approaches, and though it still accepts food from her hand, there is a wariness now, a recognition that she is not its parent. This, she knows, is as it should be. The bird is wild, and it must remain wild if it is to survive. She begins to place food in the cage rather than hand-feeding, encouraging the chick to tear at the meat itself, to use its talons and beak in the ways it will need once it is free. She watches as it learns, clumsily at first, then with growing competence. The transformation is astonishing. What was a helpless, downy creature is becoming a predator, sleek and powerful even in its youth. By the third week, the chick is nearly fully feathered, and it has begun to test its wings, flapping vigorously within the confines of the cage, building the muscles it will need for flight. Ibu Sari knows the time is approaching when she will need to let it go. The thought fills her with a strange mix of satisfaction and loss. She has poured herself into this task, and the bird's survival is a testament to her persistence, but she has no illusions about ownership. The hawk eagle belongs to the forest, to the sky, to the unbroken lineage of its species that has hunted these mountains for thousands of years. She is merely a temporary guardian, a bridge between catastrophe and recovery. She chooses a morning when the aftershocks have finally ceased, when the air is clear, and the forest seems to have regained some of its equilibrium. She carries the cage to the edge of the clearing, to a spot where the trees open onto a vista of the valley below. She opens the door and steps back. The chick, no longer truly a chick, but a juvenile eagle now, sleek and formidable, hops to the entrance of the cage. It pauses there, looking out at the world beyond, a world it has never truly known. For a long moment, it does not move. Then, with a sudden burst of motion, It launches itself forward, wings spreading wide, catching the air. The first flight is short and awkward, a brief glide that ends in a flurry of flapping and a landing in the lower branches of a nearby tree. But the eagle does not fall. It grips the branch with powerful talons, steadies itself, and looks back at Ibu Sari one final time. She raises her hand, not in farewell exactly, but in acknowledgement. Then the bird turns its gaze upward toward the canopy and begins to climb from branch to branch, testing each perch, learning the architecture of its domain. Ibu Sari stands in the clearing long after the eagle has disappeared into the forest's green embrace. Around her, life continues its slow return to normalcy. The village rebuilds. The forest heals. The earth, having spoken its violence, settles back into its ancient rhythms. She thinks about the fragility of existence, how quickly it can be shattered, and how stubbornly it persists. She thinks about the climb, her old hands finding purchase on the strangler fig, her heart pounding with fear and determination. She thinks about the nights spent awake, guarding a creature that had no reason to trust her and every reason to fear. And she thinks about the moment just now, when the eagle spread its wings and chose the sky. There is no drama in this ending, no grand revelation. There is only the quiet certainty that she did what needed to be done, and that somewhere above the canopy, a Javan hawk eagle, rare, endangered, precious, continues its interrupted journey toward adulthood, carrying with it the scars of the earthquake and the unexpected grace of an old woman's compassion. The forest will teach it the rest. The sky will make it strong. And perhaps, years from now, it will return to these same slopes to build a nest of its own, to raise its own chicks, and the cycle will continue unbroken despite the Earth's violence, sustained by the fragile, persistent bonds between resilience and survival.